Blitzes!
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. It is Wednesday, and of course that means that me and John are here on Twitch recording our podcast for you all. If you are watching on YouTube, sorry about that. It's Thursday for you. But anyways, we appreciate you guys stopping by. This is kind of a cool day because it is day one of the new game mode. So we get that to talk about while it's still fresh and everybody's still super cranky about it. So, you know, that's our version of clickbait, so I hope you guys are excited for it. Yeah, so, John, you got some splaining to do at the top of the show here.
Yeah, sorry guys. You know, you had to sit through Peach, the unlegended, unbearded monster that everyone doesn't like at all. Oh wait, you guys are sad that I'm back. My bad.
Yeah, our viewership's down since we don't have our special guest with us today.
That's true. Long story short, Washington, D.C. traffic is something that you shouldn't mess with. It doesn't matter how fast you want to drive. You can't drive faster than the 300 people in front of you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what your plan is. Same goes for the Boston area where I was for a little while.
Yeah, oh God, that Boston is bad too, although this might have been worse. I don't know.
It's usually pretty bad. Like I've dealt with DC a little bit. I've traveled there a couple times. So
basically, I got off this exit from like the big highway that I was on. I got onto some traffic, and it's like, oh, I'm only 15 minutes away. 2 hours later, I showed up where I was supposed to.
Yeah,
it was not good.
That's pretty much how it goes. Also, though. I don't think we ever really did much of an update on your NVIDIA situation. I know you probably don't want to talk about it. But
no, I'm over it now.
Okay.
I'm over it now.
All right, good. So why don't you tell people, because we hyped it up and we talked about it since you were doing so well.
That's true.
So why don't you at least give them a quick fill-in and let them
Okay, quick fill-in. Didn't win. Surprise. Made it to the America's playoff bracket. And had a bye in the first round, then lost in the second round promptly.
Single elimination too, which is just brutal.
It was single elimination, which was really stunk. It just kind of sucked to like play all that time and then just lose it all at once. But I mean, that's the nature of tournaments that big, so I'm not that disappointed about it. I was basically just outclassed. The match I played against a guy who just knew the matches better than I did. Like thinking about the matches afterwards, I just played pretty poorly. So I'm not really like upset. It's not like, oh, he drew this. It's like, no, I actually played pretty weak, and he was a good enough player to exploit me not knowing the matchup as good as I thought I did. Like the handlock mirror, I was just not versed in nearly as much as I needed to be. So if I was ever going to play in a tournament that big again, I would make sure that I tested more than I did. It kind of stunk because I was working like 60 hours at work like 2 weeks before, so that kind of stunk. But I still could have put more time in, and I didn't. So
right.
I did about as well as, looking back, I did about as well as I should have. You know, going into it, I thought I was going to do much better, but you know, can't be too upset.
Well, and you never,
the tournament,
no matter what, you never go into an event like planning for failure. Like you're just not going to.
Well, you've never gone to an event with me, right?
Oh, I've seen you at events and known you to finish poorly at them. So
Hearthstone events, yes, I finished very poorly at them. Surprisingly, if you see me at a Grand Prix trial, I am going to win it. If there's a hotel on the line, I'm like 90% to win it. I actually don't know if I've lost a Grand Prix trial that I've played in that gave a hotel and 3 buys. So like they don't give 3 buys anymore. They used to.
Right.
I think I'm 100% on hotel room and 3 buys.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty clutch.
Yeah,
I meant more like, what do you do at the event with the hotel? Like the one at the Grand Prix where you got the free hotel after you win the GPT. I mean, we're all like, you've hit legendary. You're a good card player. You wouldn't be this into it, I don't think. And you know, so you're gonna win the GPT. Of like, you know what I mean? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have made it this far.
Right. No, there's definitely some pretty bad There are some players that have legendary in Hearthstone that couldn't win an FNM. I don't think, like a strong FNM.
It might be true, which is so frustrating to see people that I think should be able to hit legendary that struggle with it. Like it's really it makes it really annoying because then like I'll hit legend and play against people and just go how did you get here? I don't understand. Thank you. Bye.
First, have you heard the Smork song? The Smork song?
I don't know if I've heard the Smork song. I don't know if you've heard the Cancer music I found that I really like too. We'll have to do it in the after show or whatever. Yeah.
So just to wrap up the NVIDIA tournament, the TLDR of the tournament as a whole was that it was run as well as it could have been considering the massive number of players they got that they weren't expecting. I've said it before. I think they expected a couple hundred players, and they got a couple thousand. Actually, they got multiple thousand instead. And I think they were just overwhelmed and probably understaffed. They probably started this tournament with like maybe 3 people, like maybe not even 3 people like running this tournament. They probably were like, okay, this like guy for an NVIDIA, like they didn't have a Hearthstone department, right? So they probably had like the esports. I think they have an esports department because they have a pretty big like esports league thing for like CS:GO and stuff. So they probably had 1 guy from that, maybe 2. Like, oh, we're gonna do a Hearthstone tournament. Just run it. It's like really easy. You just use like they have a pretty good software. So like just plug that in, blah blah blah. And then like 10,000 people signed up, and the guy was like,
help.
Yeah, how do we do this? And then they took some time, and they weren't like super upfront about stuff at the beginning, but then they figured it out at the end, and they did the best with what they could. So, in closing, would I do it again? Yes. If NVIDIA runs another league, I would suggest people playing it if they can. The league itself was really fun. It's just nice to have like a once a week play a match, and then you get to see your rankings the rest of the week. It's really nice. And then you could possibly play for some real prizes. So, overall, good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. And I expect them to do better the next time.
A fun league, and if you do well in it, you get that lottery ticket.
It's a free roll, yeah.
Yeah, you run hot, and you make decent deck choices, whether you researched them or not. You know what I mean? You can just get there and not really prepare. And it's kind of due to the RNG in the game that's what makes it fun. If you're a solid player, you don't have to be super into it to play competitively.
Right. Yeah. I kind of would suggest that if you're going to play in a tournament setting like this, pick 3 decks and just pick 3 decks that make sense in a lineup and just play the hell out of those. Know like which decks you're going to bring in against what, like what order you're going to play them, etc. And then just stick to that. Like in the same vein as if you want to get Legend, just play 1 deck and learn it in and out. If you want to play in a tournament setting, just pick 3 decks. Learn them in and out, and then know the sort of meta game decisions for them in terms of like what you want to play when, and what you want in against what, and how you and make sure that you don't get trapped against certain decks, etc., etc. I kind of, it was an 8-week league for the regular season, so and BRM was basically being released in the middle of this, so I had different decks every week. But I played 2 of the same decks every single week in the regular season, and then I didn't play the Druid deck in the last one. But I think that if I would have just played my same lineup of the Druid deck, Face Hunter, and if I would have played the Druid deck instead of the Handlock deck, and just known I was going to do that from the beginning, regardless of whether I thought Druid was super strong in this meta, I think I would have done a little bit better than trying to like cram the Handlock, like basically the Handlock notes for the final exam like the week before.
Yeah, you were.
I think I did pretty well considering I went from like 0 Handlock knowledge, 0 relevant Handlock knowledge to being able to play it like decently.
And honestly, though, you were almost forced to do it. As much as it's not ideal and you wouldn't recommend somebody do it under normal circumstances, you started that event not knowing Handlock, and also Grim Patron wasn't a card.
It literally wasn't a card.
Right, and then when you get to the single elimination tournament at the end that you kind of entered into, you all of a sudden have to play this deck in your lineup because it's a hard counter, and like everybody's going to Patron Warriors, so... Yeah, your hands were a little bit tied there, so I don't blame you for trying to force that. I think I even recommended it.
Yeah, and actually after but going into the single elimination bracket, I thought that I, as a player, in terms of player skill, considering I was going into that tournament ranked number 2 out of like 600 that were in the playoffs, I was going into it assuming that I was going to be on the top in the upper percentile of skill. So I wanted to play a deck that was very consistent, and Handlock is like the definition of that. So.
It does have a surprisingly, for a deck that can just like on turn 4 play an 8/8 and look at your opponent and they have no answer and just lose. Like it takes a remarkable amount of skill to pilot that deck correctly and to mulligan that. Now maybe mulliganing is not the best example. You just like keep Twilight Drakes and Molten Giants.
I mean, knowing the mulligans is relevant. My thing that tied me up was I used my owls on the wrong things.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly what killed me the one game. All my games were very close, by the way.
Yeah.
My handlock mirror. Yeah, my handlock mirror. I used an owl on a shredder for value, just to get rid of his shredder like completely with like a dark bomb or something. And then I'm like, I don't really think I have too many, or maybe it was against Druid. It was against Druid. I think I got rid of his shredder. And I'm like, I don't think there's really that many things I want to owl. And then he plays Sylvanas, and I'm like, oh yeah, the card that's been like one of the best cards in the game since its inception. Probably want an owl for that because it's like a hard counter, and I have like no ways to deal with it. So, but I mean, if I would have drawn my second owl, I was in very good shape, but I didn't. Which I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because I made the like slightly suboptimal play and got punished for it, which. Segue, 5 slides down. This is going to tie into a rant that I'm going to go on later in the show. Although I thought this was going to be like a 2-second segment, but we've been dragging it up for like 15 minutes. I mean, it's been good talk.
Yeah. We're just shooting the breeze.
It's nice.
I haven't talked to Blevins a lot in like 2 weeks, so it's honestly
I've been very busy. I've been very busy working and also cramming poker knowledge, because I tend to do, got really, really into something for 2 weeks. So I'm just going full all in, pun intended, at poker. And I had the nuts and I folded. Because I don't know how to do pot odds. So... I have scaled back my Hearthstone a little bit, and as you may have noticed, I haven't streamed in like 100 weeks, but that might change.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely hate you for it, but we'll move on. We don't need to discuss it.
There's like that much more internet space for non-Blevins people to come in.
Well, in that vast, open, wide internet space for everybody that's not Blevins. We had our first episode of the In Crowd. If you watch the show with any regularity, you will know that we had Ruben Bressler on a short time ago to discuss.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago, and he is the head writer of this show, which stars Hyped, Frodan, Rayned, and Gara. It's a little animated YouTube short series, shorter than I thought. The showtime actually with the 20-second intro was under 3 minutes, and I was very surprised by that. Like when I loaded it up, I'm like, oh no, is this just like an intro for it? Because I thought it was the full episode. But I gotta say, after watching it, I thought the length was perfect. Like it was short enough to be funny, you know what I mean, and like not get old. It didn't drag on, obviously. There's no time for it to. And they kind of like did a lot. There was a couple really good jokes in there that were really funny. Some of them were harder to understand than others. But it was definitely really, really interesting, and I just thought it was cool to see how they incorporated the game into it. It's really short, guys. Listen, we put the link in the chat on Twitch. It will be in the description of the episode.
Oh, this is the Unleash the Podcast link, because someone asked for it.
Oh, okay. Well, if you could link the episode for them, like just mute us. We're gonna give away some spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, check it out, and then just hit play on this YouTube window again. And All right, so I'll let John kind of give a little recap of the show and how that all went down.
Yeah, so basically, I guess we don't need to give away spoilers. We can just kind of talk about what.
Yeah, like we don't have to like give a synopsis of it.
The four guys, Hyped, Frodan, Reynad, and Gara, are moving into the Hearthstone house, the Tempo Storm Hearthstone house. Now, I don't know, is this actually like happening? Are they actually moving into a house? Because I know that Gara lives a million miles away, and
I think it already
Frodan
happened.
Did it?
Yeah, like
I know Frodan and Reynad live in the California area, and I have no idea. I know almost nothing about Hyped other than that he does the Tempo Storm meta snapshot.
Well, the obnoxious Reddit whiners, when it came out and they had just the intro to talk about, were commenting on how they recognized the rooms that the guys stream in almost more clearly than they could by the figure. So that leads me to think that these guys like legit stream from there, unless they just kind of designed their rooms to all fit into a house. I don't know, but I do think they have a house. I'm not 100% sure. I just kind of assume.
I mean, it's not relevant. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. Right. I really liked how they kind of like, you know, obviously all these guys are different in real life, but they kind of wrote it so that they're all kind of like their own character now. So like the first episode kind of defined like what characters these guys are going to be.
Especially Gara.
I liked Gara's character a lot.
It was so good. It was hilarious. Yeah. I don't even know Gara well. It makes me want to watch his stream, which is the point.
I've watched him a couple of times. I don't think he's quite like that, but
I don't think so either.
It was good. They like made him that character, which is really good.
He's like super whiny and weird.
And the best part of the episode, I think, was the end with Reynad's closing line. Like that was just perfect, right? Yeah. Like it was you guys. I mean, just watch it. You'll see.
What did you think was the worst deck idea that Reynad had that they never talked about? Because it took me a while to get that one, and I'm not even sure. I don't even remember.
Right. I don't know what. I only like mildly know what you're talking about right now. Like they talked about the worst deck. This is I don't remember.
Yeah, he asked Hype like what the worst deck he ever saw was. Hype names a couple weird things. He goes like
right.
And then Reynad goes, I think I just thought of something. And then there's like that dun dun, like the really dramatic music as he like looks out the back door. And it took me a while to figure out what he was saying. And I think he's like having like a Farsight deck idea or something like that. Like making fun of Farsight because the camera gets really far away from him. I'm not 100% sure that's right.
But if that's the actual joke they made, credit to them. B, if that's the actual joke they made, and you got that from that, credit to you as well. That's pretty good. If there's like jokes that are that deep that Ruben is going to be writing into this, I am more all in on this than I was before.
I will message him on Facebook or Twitter after the show and ask him if that was indeed a Farsight joke.
Let me know because that's pretty good. We'll
tell you guys next week. But we've literally spent more time talking about this than the actual episode itself, so we don't have to go into more detail. But nonetheless, it's really funny. You guys check it out.
Check it out, and if you want some before, you may have already watched it because we told you to watch it, but if you want a little bit of insight into the writer, you can check out our episode 16 of Unleash the Cast, where we had it might have been episode 6. It might have been episode 6. Yeah. 2 episodes ago, which was also episode 6. 2 episodes ago, we had the head writer on. Go check it out. He gives us some nice insight. And actually, he kind of alluded to some of the jokes that were going to be in the first episode, which was kind of... He didn't spoil anything, but he just kind of alluded to some of the stuff that was going to be in there.
I feel like we have to talk about that more, but we won't do it now because I don't remember him doing that.
We kind of talked about we asked him how are they gonna reference other things from Tempo Storm, and he's like, oh, maybe one of the basis of the episode is gonna be the Heroes of the Storm, how players got a bigger house, and one of the jokes at the beginning of the episode was I thought the Heroes guys had a bigger house than us. It wasn't an episode concept, it was just a one-liner.
He was coy though, because I did not get the impression we'd be seeing it 2 weeks after, but I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I am very much looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch, and we'll talk about any that are especially funny, I'm sure.
Yes.
Since it's fun and goofy and different. So, moving on.
Pretty much exactly the show.
Yeah, speaking of fun, maybe, and goofy, definitely, and goofy, different, sure, yeah. Definitely. Yes. Brawl time, boys. The new game mode is live. It went live at 1 p.m. My local time, Eastern Standard, and that was, what does that make it, like 11 or 10? I'm sorry, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the release time every single Wednesday. For anybody curious, it will always go live then, and it will always come down after Sunday night. You can wait until Sunday night to play if you want to.
So wait a second. This means that we have at least one segment of the show written every single week.
Yeah, if we just are super lazy, we'll just pretend, we'll pretend like we really like the brawl.
Hold on, I'm changing my opinion already. I'm all in on Tavern Brawl now. It's just writing the show for us.
Best case scenario. So essentially, what this is, guys,
PRM all over again.
it's a fun, goofy way to experience some different encounters. You can play. You can just queue up against randoms. You can play against friends, like myself and John will be doing after the show, and also. You know, the encounters are different every single week. So this time, you either get to play with Ragnaros or you get to play with Nefarian, and you battle against the opposite hero. It would be cool if you could play Nefarian against Nefarian.
Ooh, the mirror match would be kind of sweet, actually.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool if there was just two classes this time to choose from, and like people got to choose. I don't know. Anyways, there's a lot of different ways they could.
I kind of don't want that because I feel like we wouldn't see very much Ragnaros. Or, oh man, if they let you build the decks.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah, if you could build decks with the cool cards. But anyways, I digress.
And they became legal and constructed.
Right.
And you got golden versions of them all?
Yes.
Oh, that was another thing that I thought of. Like, if you get like 100 wins, you get the golden version. You get to play with a golden version of the deck. That would be sweet, and I would be playing right now if that were the case.
So you'd go like 100 games this week? You'd win 100
I'd go 100 games tonight. And then play the rest of the week golden. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that would be such a waste of time.
Yes. Yes, it was. As it happens, now you only have to waste 10 minutes of your time.
It's true. So these are free, and you get a pack for winning for now. The official announcement did allude to the fact that there's a very real opportunity. If not, it's definitely going to cost something to enter later on. And they definitely... also maybe told us that it was very ambiguous wording, so I'm not trying to be overly facetious about it, but you know, you're not necessarily going to just win a pack forever at the end of these things. It could be something else. It could be just a GVG pack the one week. It could be, you know, you could pay more to get in and, you know, get 3 packs when you meet the requirement. And there could be different requirements as well, depending on the week. We really don't know. This is kind of have to take it week by week until they release a comprehensive guide, which they're not going to do. You know, we're just going to have to kind of figure it out as we go.
Right.
So right now it's free to enter. You get a pack when you win your first game. You play Ragnaros versus Nefarian. And John, you've already done it a little bit, so why don't you talk about your experience with it so far?
So a couple things. I played for roughly a half an hour of playtime. And it seems kind of like it's Nefarian Ragnaros 70-30, roughly. And this is just, like I said, from about a half hour, 45 minutes of playing. So the general consensus is that Nefarian is much stronger than Ragnaros. For a couple of reasons. His hero power is insane. Like, you just draw a random spell from anything, just a random spell from any class. The 2-mana hero power. Draw a random spell from any class. It costs 0. Not reduce its cost by 2, not reduce its cost by 5, not... It costs 3 less this turn. It's just, it costs 0 forever, and you now have that in your hand. I don't know if anyone's ever cast Lay on Hands for 0, but it's pretty good. I don't know if anyone's ever cast Mind Control for 0, but it's pretty good. So hero power discrepancy is already there. Nefarian has a stronger overall hero power. Though Ragnaros' hero power is not bad, you get a Magma Rager for 2 mana, and then when you get rid of your weapon, you get the Ragnaros from BRM Hero Power, just fire off a Ragnaros missile. Which in the late game is much better, surprisingly enough, than drawing a random spell. It boils down to Nefarian has such insane potential for the early game that you just lose on turn 4. I've had multiple games where I had like 30 power, and I'm not really even exaggerating that much, 30 power on board on turn 5, and the game was just over. Oh, by the way, you start with 4 mana as Nefarian. Well, if you go second, you get the 5th one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Both decks have a bunch of, wild and powerful legendaries and like 2 mana 6/6s and 4 mana 7/7s, like all sorts of crazy stuff. Both decks have that. The problem is that there's just some dead cards in Ragnaros. There's Flame Imps. There's literal Flame Imp in Ragnaros. Every time you draw a Flame Imp, you just want to be dead. And like I understand kind of why they put Flame Imp in there. They like have like a sub theme of like, we're gonna give you spells that cost less if you've taken more damage. So like the Molten Giants, and then there's like the legendary one that's like a 20/20. Golemag, yeah. Which Golemag is really good when your opponent has a 0 mana mind control that they get for free with their hero power. Really good. But yeah, it's not really balanced. But like that's not even the problem. I think people probably are using the Magma Rager hero ability wrong, because the Magma Rager hero ability is actually better in this format than it would be in regular Hearthstone, because it trades favor. There's no mage. There's not there's not an efficient way to deal with the 5/1. Like the 5/1 actually trades up a lot against the Nefarian. So it's probably closer than, it's probably like 60-40 or maybe even 45-55. It might be that close, I don't know. But the problem is, and I don't know how often people play board games. I went through, kind of like I'm doing with poker right now, a very all-in phase with board games where I played almost nothing but board games, all sorts of board games, for like 2 months. And coming from the Magic background, I would try to play the game a ton, learn the best strategies and the counter strategies, and just try to optimize the game perfectly and, play. And, in Magic or in Hearthstone, you get rewarded for that. If you're better at the game and you win every time, or you win, a very favorable amount of times, it's fun to win regardless of how you win in Hearthstone and Magic, basically, if you're playing for something. In board games, it's really not. And board games are not designed to be played 30 times. This feels a lot like a board game. Yeah. There's not really any stakes. You're not, as far as we know, you're not playing for anything. There's a win counter, but if you have 100 wins or if you have 1 win, I feel like as far as we know, it's going to be the same. So once you get your pack, if you don't have fun playing, what it boils down to is if you've played Ragnaros and Nefarian 10 times each, you've probably played more than what this is worth in terms of fun factor and different gameplay. That's how it felt for me.
Yeah, what it looks like to me is I haven't played it, and John almost sounded disappointed when I said I was going to make him play against me in the after show.
No. I think not to interject, but I think that's where the fun is going to be, is being able to be like, hey, we're going to tavern brawl,
right?
Me and you, let's do this. I think that's fun. Having it be like a thing, like I have a bunch of friends that don't put any money into Hearthstone. They don't even play that often, but they like to play Hearthstone. And this is where the idea for the random games came out. Was from my friend. I could play him. He doesn't have a collection. I have, for all intents and purposes, a complete collection. I would crush him in Constructed, right? Like, there's no reason for me to play Handlock versus his starter mage deck. There's no reason to do that. However, this kind of equal levels the playing field, just like Random Game did. This is just a little bit of a different version. And I guess The problem is that random game has more longevity than this, right? Because like random game, who knows what could happen? Like it's gonna be whimsical and crazy every time, and just completely crazy. This seems more finite. It's more refined, but at the same time, it's more finite. So it doesn't seem like I could play a random game. We can play random games forever, right? Like it'll never get dull. I don't think. This will, but I mean, maybe it refreshes every week, which is nice. So.
Yeah. So the primary complaint I've heard so far is on the balancing side of things.
Yeah.
And with this, like I said, we're guessing every week. We don't know what these are going to be, and they set a precedent right off the bat with this. So don't be mad about it. Just learn from it and take learn what you should invest into this format by what they're giving you. If they're not giving you a balanced format that's super competitive, then this isn't something you're meant to grind.
Right. It absolutely isn't. I think that's kind of how it's designed. I mean, they haven't said it outright, but I mean, Ragnaros is arm wrestling Nefarian in the picture. I mean, come on.
Right.
Like, it's not serious. Although nothing in Hearthstone is really serious.
Right.
But, having looked into, I haven't actually, done any of it, but having looked into what it takes to make board games and to balance board games and, like, reading people's board game creators and game designers' blogs about what it takes to, play test games so that they can sell them, or even just to get them to the point where they can put them on Kickstarter. It's a lot of work to get a game that's playable. And I feel like either they have been working very hard to get one a week seems like a tall order, just from a put out a game that's playable standpoint, not to mention the new cards, the animations, the sounds, obviously they can reuse cards, and maybe some of the weeks it's just like, okay, you're going to play the Unstable Portal decks, you're going to mirror match Unstable Portal decks, which I imagine is probably going to be a Tavern Brawl at some point, or maybe Unstable Portal versus Web Spinner, although that doesn't seem fair at all. That doesn't seem fair at all. But because Web Spinner's a minion and Unstable Portal's a spell, duh, bro, not even close. But I don't
know how
think
you deal with my what's his face. When my Unstable Portal finally gets me Barongeddon, you're doomed. It's over.
I want to see. I kind of hope that they put these minions as like Unstable Portalable now. So like you can just get like the Toxitron and the Magmatron. That would be so sweet. That would be cool.
The salt would be so real from this.
Oh, I know. Guys. It would be so, because some of those minions are just so stupidly broken.
Right.
The one's just like a 3-mana 6/3 that Battlecry deals 6 damage to a target. Like, it's so stupid. 2-mana 6/6 taunt. Like, it's so.
You remember the 1-mana 2/3 charge from
Naxxramas? From Naxxramas, yeah.
That guy was incredible.
I want that. I want that in real life. But
Hunter Scum.
Hunter Scum, yeah.
I can't even counter that with Fiery Winx. It doesn't even work. That's too late.
It's too late. You've now taken 4 damage from a 1-mana spell. I hope you're happy.
And if you went first and I didn't coin it, I'm taking 6 damage from it. Like, the worst.
Yep. Yeah. The absolute worst. But I think it seems like Blizzard has put a lot on their plate. And a week just seems so short from like I can't imagine. I feel like they're gonna, the Innkeeper, like they said, the Innkeeper has to take some time to sweep up the mess. I think the Innkeeper is going to be taking a lot of time to sweep up a lot of mess, because I can't imagine how many of these they have banked. Like, they're gonna. Do you really think that they have 52 different Tavern Brawls ready to play for the next year? Like, do you honestly think they have 52 Tavern Brawls ready, like, in terms of, like, coding and, like, the cards designed, the UI and all that stuff ready? Do you think they have 52 in the bank right now?
Yeah, because, like, they're just gonna have like a mech week where, you know what I mean? Like that takes no coding and no programming.
Sure,
you just
that's
inside
true.
the game mode, buff all mechs +2/+2. You're super punished for playing anything else. Same thing with beasts, same thing with demons, same thing with dragons. Like you just add a benefit to the one type and then force everybody to play them.
So they're not. So you think that they're not even going to be as flavorful and cool as this one? So you think that this one, which is pretty much a across the board disappointment, is going to be the top of the game for the Tavern Brawl?
No, I think I personally would enjoy something else where anything where I get to make the deck, I'm going to enjoy more. With that said, I'm super excited to play with that Ragnaros card where I gain like 4 armor and draw 1 million cards. Like it just screams Sphinx Revelation to me, and that's exactly what I want to be doing. So
that seems cool, and like in the abstract, like that's really cool, but the format does not, like that's like one of the weaker cards you can play. That's the problem. Like you're throwing out nothing but like windmill slams basically.
Right.
And then you draw that card. It's good, don't get me wrong, it's good, but like
I just want to cast it because like the effect is so cool and so awesome. Yeah. And you know, I'm disappointed in Brawl. I'm not disappointed in this Brawl. This is what I thought we were gonna get. An unbalanced fun mode with a slight reward for newer and casual players. So when I found out about this, I said, oh, this isn't for me. And you know what I mean? So I'm not super pumped about it. With that said, you know, like I said, exactly what I thought we were going to get. I was hoping we'd get, like I said, I want to make my own decks. I'll think that's a cool challenge and unique, and I might want to play that 5 times. This week, I want to get my win, get out, and go back to ladder.
Right. Well, yeah, I think if you get to make your own decks, it adds a lot more replayability because you're gonna, like, it just becomes like a different ladder, right? Like then it changes. So if you get to build your own decks, you know, you can make the cool deck, and maybe there's one that's like broken, but and then maybe there's a deck to beat that. All of a sudden, you've already got the normal rock paper scissors, or like, do you play the good deck or do you play the deck that beats the good deck? That already in and of itself sounds more fun than just, here are 2 pre-made decks. You get to play one or the other. You can never play the mirror match. You never get to choose. Here you go. Have 5 minutes of fun. Like, that's what this is, basically.
And next week, if we can make our own decks, though, like, think of how the after show is going to go. Like, if one of us is going to make a drastically better deck, the other person is going to be like, "Fuck you, I can counter you." You know what I mean? Like,
tip jar, tip jar, tip jar, tip jar, tip jar, tip jar, ding, 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 ding. We got one, boys. Ha! Caught one.
Oh, man. Well, my apologies to everybody. It's been a long time. We're back on the road to getting you guys some sort of giveaway.
Why do you say we? I don't know. I don't understand why you're saying we.
I don't know either. I'm the only one that swears. You've literally yet to swear, and I don't understand how it's possible. All right. Well, I will get the money in there as we go, and we can just kind of continue on. We pretty much talked ourselves through this topic anyways.
Okay, so one last thing. If next week's Tavern Brawl is you get to play Constructed, but you get to build your decks with the cards from these, I am 10,000% in on it. It is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I would give up.
If you get, it would be the new ladder. They would be like, okay, we're throwing everyone's BlizzCon points away. It's all about Tavern Brawl wins. It's just hard count Tavern Brawl wins. If you're in the top 5 Tavern Brawl wins, you get the invite. If not, you don't.
Right. Yeah, I gotta say that would definitely be incredible on all counts, even if they ruin BlizzCon. I would be totally okay with that.
Because I'm in there as a special invite because I got 10,000 Tavern Brawl wins.
Yeah, well, I think that would definitely ruin it. I mean, if you were in it, period, it would just ruin it for me.
I mean, I'm going to be there.
I couldn't enjoy it.
Be there.
Right,
I'm not going to be in the tournament. Oh, I can play in the last chance qualifier at BlizzCon, probably.
You're right.
I'm probably not going to, but I could.
The fact that you're going to be there will make me salty enough that it'll probably ruin it for me no matter what we do.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since I'm going to get whatever cool card back they give away, whatever cool alternate BlizzCon hero they're going to give away for sure. Like, that's got to happen, right? Like, that's got to be a thing. They made the heroes. Everyone got salty about them. Give me one for free at BlizzCon. Give me a sweet one. I want a silly one though. I want like ETC or like Murky. Ooh, Confirmarino'd Murky hero. Anything. He's neutral. He can be whatever he wants. He'll have different things for He'll have different. No, he talks like a Murloc. He'll just be whatever one you want. It can be mage, it can be hunter, it can be anything. It just goes. That's what it is. That's Murky. Even though that's not the noise he makes in Heroes, but it's gonna happen. You heard it here first, folks.
For somebody that's so good at impressions, that was like the worst Murloc I've ever heard in my life.
It's fine. Murlocs are the worst.
Get it together.
And Jim's like, lucky for you, we got 2 Murlocs.
Honestly, Murloc is probably the most recognizable sound in the game. And
do you know what? Do you know how they make the sound?
No.
Gargle yogurt.
Gargle yogurt?
That's actually true. That's how they made the sound.
I don't know about that.
I'm
saying,
like, go get some yogurt now and gargle
yogurt. I'm not disputing you. I totally believe you. I'm just saying I don't know about ever gargling yogurt just for the benefit of.
Oh, I mean, I have some yogurt.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. That would weird me out too much.
Just remember that if you ever give me a Stump the Blevins that's a Murloc card, it will be done authentically. I will go run and get some yogurt.
Tonight. I can just audible tonight. Like, is it in
the
fridge?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We can definitely pretend like I've picked the cards yet, and I'm not scrambling to do it now because I forgot. We can pretend like that's true if we want. But no matter what we do, I don't have anything.
You're gonna have to give me softballs. You're gonna have to give me softballs now.
No way, man. I don't pay attention to you when you talk. I can devote my full attention to playing this while you go on your rant that you're about to go on.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Right now.
Yes.
Go.
So. Okay, I need to like prepare myself here. And I need to make sure that I don't get into the tip jar here. So this has been bugging me for a while, and I see people do this all the time, and it ranges. It's not just lower level players. It's good players. As high as Brian Kibler himself, I've seen do this.
So John is calling you out, Brian Kibler.
He's saying, calling you out, Kibler.
You do this wrong.
You do it.
You play. Your play is bad, and you should feel bad, Kibler.
Yes.
Quote from John Blevins, 2K.
Here's what and I'm gonna reference this specific thing that happened just the other day. It wasn't Kibler. It was another. It was a different person who is, in fact, a Streamer Spotlight alum. I won't name his name because I don't want to offend his fro. But so here's the board state, and I'm going to condense it down just to simplify it. The board state is your opponent has a Leper Gnome and another 2/1 Worgen Infiltrator, we'll say. Just an unstealth, we'll say Abusive Sergeant. He has a Leper Gnome and an Abusive Sergeant out, just for simplicity's sake. It's your turn. You have the ability to... You want to trade with one of the 2/1s. Either Hero Power or what have you. You're a mage. You have Mage Hero Power. Do you, A, shoot the Abusive Sergeant, or B, shoot the Leper Gnome? And why? The answer that most people give, or maybe not, you're not asking this question, but what people do is they kill Leper Gnome. They kill Leper Gnome with the Hero Power. And they take their 2 damage, whatever. And most people are like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You kill the quote unquote better minion. Like that's just a natural shortcut. If there's 2 minions, you want to kill the better one, right? Wrong. There's no reason to kill the Leper Gnome. None whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, I mean, it's bad to kill the Leper Gnome. But here's the thing: people don't think of it that way. And I don't know why. Like, I got in an argument with this streamer on his or her stream, his or her stream. I go, why did you kill the Leper Gnome there? And I asked Kibler when he did it, but he has 6,000 people in his chat and doesn't do anything. He didn't see it, and it was too late if he did see it. I go, why did you kill Leper Gnome there? And they're like, oh, because I needed to kill one of the minions. And I'm like, duh, that's not what I'm asking. Like, obviously you wanted to kill one of the minions. Why did you kill the Leper Gnome instead of the Abusive Sergeant? And they're like, I don't understand your question. Like, Leper Gnomes this isn't what that person said, but like Lepernome's better. Like, why wouldn't I kill Lepernome? Okay, here's what it boils down to. Why kill Lepernome over Abusive Sergeant? No one ever has an answer. Other than it's better. What's the answer? What's the answer? To play feign death?
We've had this conversation in the past.
Yes, we did have this conversation. And you did the same thing that everyone else did.
I did, and I was wrong in that instance. And John is generally correct. People do this by default, and it's not the by default correct play. Okay? There are, however, reasons to do it.
Give me a non-Baron Rivendare, non-feign death reason.
Okay. If I don't have any way to deal with it other than killing it, okay? No other chance in my deck, and I know this. I don't have a silence effect. I don't have a bounce effect. I don't have anything, and I have no other way to deal with it. I would rather kill it up front if the choice is equal between a 2-1 and a 2-1. You know, like you said, we're talking about an Abusive Sergeant or a Worgen Infiltrator sitting side by side against a Lepernome. I would rather do that up front.
Why?
And the reason is because I want to take the damage I'm going to take. I don't want them to have an eventual source of damage that gets through a taunt. When I play my taunt, and then I want the damage to stop. It's not a strong reason. I'm not saying
it's not a reason at all.
It is a reason.
You're taking the damage.
I have a preference, and there's no reason not to.
No, there is a reason not to, because there is, in theory, a point in the game. There's an instance where your opponent dies and there's a Lepernome in play and you never took that 2 damage. If you take the 2 damage now, you took the 2 damage, you're at 18. If you kill the Abusive Sergeant and then play a taunt and your opponent attacks the Lepernome into it, you took the 2 damage and you're at 18. There's no difference. You're at the same life. It's just you took it earlier instead of taking it later. Like, it doesn't matter. The 2 damage is there. Like, taking it later or taking it earlier, it doesn't matter. Like, if you play your taunt and you don't want it...
If I'm in a Hunter Mirror match, I agree with you. If I'm a Paladin playing against a Hunter, I disagree with you. There's no way that game ends with that Lepernome alive. It's not happening.
Right, it's not happening, but the 2 damage doesn't go away.
No,
you still take the 2 damage.
It's irrelevant whether I take it now or later. And in Paladin, there's even better reason. If I have heals in my deck, I will want
if you have
to get
heals
lower.
to get full heal value, I will give it to you that if you want to get full heal value.
Screw full heal value. It's an antique heal bot either way. It's an 8 heal antique heal bot either way. I can get my opponent to play differently and use a kill command to put me to a life total where he then knows he can kill me the next turn. And then I play and gain 8 life, and he no longer has lethal, and he also no longer has a kill command to deal with something.
Okay, I will give it to you that in those situations, that if you have a specific reason, which you have given, and it has the Blevin seal of approval, then it is okay if you think it out and have a specific reason to kill the Lepernome first. You have my blessing. You have my blessing.
Like I said at the beginning, I was playing devil's advocate to kind of just take the other side of the argument, so it's not just you yelling, which is super entertaining to me. I just don't want to speak for everybody. I think you're right about what the default right answer is, right? Like, if I'm playing, even if it's Flamewaker, like Cancer Mage, and you're playing against Hunter, like, obviously the Flamewaker is probably going to kill the thing, but I don't know that it's going to happen, and I've got fireballs, and you've got kill commands, and like John said, there's a very real opportunity where that Lepernome can stay around. It just takes some goofy, weird RNG.
Or get silenced, or a number of other things.
Right, throwing out the silences, though, like in the situation of there's no way to deal with it, and kind of the opposite end of, like, I'm playing Paladin, so I have heals. Like, if you're playing aggro and you have damage, it's a point of damage you're dealing there, or it's damage you're taking to help him in a race. And if you don't have to give him that 2 damage in the race, you don't. And so
right, exactly.
Yeah, that's why John's right, and there is just a flip side to it.
There is obviously reasons that you could kill the Lepernome, and you've brought them up. If you want to get, if you want to deceive your opponent into thinking that they're in a better position than they actually are, that's a good play. If you're playing around like Echo of Medivh or Feign Death or Baron Rivendare for whatever reason, like those cards, like, that's and like if you're realistically playing around them, like not just well that card exists, so I'm going to play around it. Like that you're not favored in that exchange,
right,
in the long run.
Right. Your point outweighs the corner case possibility.
Right. If you run it a million times, if you kill the Leper Gnome, you're going to be down more than if you kill the Abusive Sergeant.
I'd say if you played it on ladder a million times, probably about 50% of the time you wouldn't see. Like you could do it 1,000 times, multiple times, and like you wouldn't often.
You would not see a Baron Riven hit. Yeah. Right. So, and like, yeah. So it's like, but like, and Peach brought up that every turn it's on the board, you lose an additional 2 damage. That's not relevant here because the Abusive Sergeant would be doing 2 damage. So that, like, there's going to be something left on the board regardless. Like, if you leave the Leper Gnome on the board, if you leave the Abusive Sergeant on the board, their attack is going to do the same amount of damage.
Right.
It's the Death Rattle.
Which 2/1 do you kill is the
right. It's the right. And like, and I'm like, most people are like, well, it's not going to matter. Like, you know, the Leper Gnome's going to die. It's like, okay. Maybe it will. It almost certainly will. I'm not arguing that it won't. But, there's a non-zero, whether, how close to 0 it is debatable. There's a non-zero chance that it won't trigger the Death Rattle. And in most cases, unless you have a reason like you pointed out, you don't gain anything from killing the Leper Gnome first. And that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, there's definitely a misconception with it for sure, and I
play correctly, unless you have a good reason not to, and this is correctly.
So if you're playing an aggro deck more often than not on ladder right now, it's a super relevant point.
Right, and like this, yes. Haymaker brings up that in handlock you might want to take the damage. Yes, I will. Like, there are definitely reasons in handlock that you would want to take the damage earlier. That's also another valid reason to kill the Leper Gnome. But it just kind of boils down into the overall thing with, like, it's just a small percentage play, right? Like, if you kill the Leper Gnome now, what do you gain? Maybe a 1% advantage, but that's probably a pretty liberal giving of percentage points there. But if you play 1,000 games, that 1 percentage point, or if you're trying to maximize your play skill and your competitive edge and your ability in the game, you want to make the correct decisions. There's a lot of other decisions that I've been advocating with Face Hunter. People play Face Hunter terribly all the time, and they blame the deck and not the fact that they play their Owl to get 5 damage from Kill Command when they could have just played the Kill Command and Hero Powered. Like, it's just stupid things like that get people, that people come up damage short, or like not able to get through the taunt, or a laundry list of other things that people do poorly in Face Hunter that they end up blaming the deck and not the fact that they messed up. And the Leper Gnome thing is small, so people don't care about it. And honestly, you probably don't need to care about it, but it happens all the time, and you should just play right when you have the opportunity to.
Yep.
And this has gotten way more time than it deserves, but I had to get it off my chest.
See, I thought this was the conversation that would actually warrant the most time.
I mean, it certainly could. I could go on a whole nother tangent. I could write a whole article on Face Hunter and how people play it terribly and how I see people play it terribly all the time.
Any conversation about how to play Face Hunter correctly is definitely time wasted. So we don't need to talk about.
It's not though. It's probably. I bet if I wrote a comprehensive guide for Face Hunter, it would be way more helpful for way more people than a lot of other things. Because a lot of people play Face Hunter, and Face Hunter is a good deck to pick up if you want to start playing ladder and you want to get a high rank and you don't have a lot of cards.
Don't be that guy. Just don't rank up. It's fine.
Just don't ring up like Aaron Brawl.
It's like saying, well, I really want to go, I want to rise as high as I can wherever I am. So it's like why Anakin joined the dark side and became Darth Vader, because he was able to rise up to number 2 there.
Sand people killed his family. Spoilers.
I think we can spoil that one.
Oh yeah, anything that's over 10 years old you can freely spoil.
It's probably allowed. I don't know. Maybe he just did it for the watch. We don't really know. So, for anyways,
series that's never mind.
So John hasn't seen Game of Thrones yet, so I get to say things that aren't spoilers but related, just to tease him a little bit. It's how I get through the day and have fun.
Yes, but I think if people just play mindless Face Hunter and they play suboptimally and they get their exactly 55% win percent or their 51% win percentage, they play 10,000 games. I think that I agree with you that you might as well just not play, right? Like, you just want the card backs. Okay, do it one season and then never play it again. I think that if you play a good game of Face Hunter and you are playing optimally, I think it has a high win percentage, and I think that you can win a lot of games that a lot of people can't. I think that
it's definitely true. Like I had to, and I didn't never care to, but to like do it for a point. But I did want to. I'm a firm believer that in order to beat a deck, you need to know how to play it well. It gives you the best opportunity to thwart it. And I've got to say, like, I picked up and played some Face Hunter. It's a little more intricate than you thought, but
it's just more fun to make fun of it than it is.
Well, no, I mean, it doesn't change my issue with it, and that's that you can have no skill, not know what you're doing, just throw damage at the opponent's face and get there. And I don't like when those things exist. I understand their purpose, and the fact that that's true doesn't make it the best deck. It just makes it the most annoying. So my issue with Face Hunter now,
it has a nut draw. That's like a good thing to have, though. I mean, you could make the argument that Handlock is in the similar vein. It takes a little bit more introduction to it, right? But like you said, you can just play an 8/8 on turn 4, and what is your opponent going to do about it?
Freezing trap it.
Sure, you can freeze and trap. I mean, you can have cards that counter Face Hunter too. Like you just play like 2 Sludge Belchers and.
This is the one, like that. I'm just saying, like, this is the one where you have to counter an entire fairly consistent deck, especially when you like get that nut draw and you have the great curve. You know what I mean? Like, your draws aren't going to be bad. You already have the curve. You're just every card in Hearthstone is gas for an aggro deck. It's just
right. Well, the problem is that the best card in the deck costs 2 mana and is always in your hand. It's your hero power.
I was going to say, I just thought we were talking about Knife Juggler, because that card blows open games more than most.
No. It's literally always in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, people definitely don't use that enough. That's definitely where a lot of that came from. But
that's the only thing, is that if you're not using a hero power every turn, you're probably, asterisk, playing wrong.
Right. I used to like never be able to beat Priest with Face Hunter, and then I started actually trying to learn it and started to weave my hero ability in way more often, even if it meant more lackluster boards. It's not about that,
No, it's about maximizing damage over the course of the game.
Right. You're going to run out of cards, and against Priest, the game's going to take 17 turns. So run out of cards on turn 16 instead of turn 9, and you'll be in a much better spot. So, anyways, we will move on here. We have got just one more conversation. That is, of course, the not the streamer spotlight, which is what I was going to say. We're going to start weaving that in less frequently now. We've shown you our family, and in order to keep it from being disingenuous, there's obviously still people that we love that we haven't spotlighted.
There are definitely still people on our short list of streamer spotlights.
It's just getting shorter, and we're not going to be able to keep it up forever at the pace of once a week and have it be something that means something. And we want to make sure that when we tell you guys to watch a streamer, you believe us that they're going to be entertaining and that we really like them, and there's a reason we're doing it. So we're skipping it this week. We're going to we'll not going to tell you. There's not going to be a schedule for when they're going to come. They're just going to show up at the end of some episodes.
Yes. We're still working on exactly what we're going to do.
Yes. So don't freak out if you're a streamer that watches and you haven't seen it yet. Your time is definitely coming.
And if you guys know of a streamer that you very much feel believes needs a streamer spotlight, shoot us an email, shoot us a tweet, message us on Twitch, message us on the Twitters, up there. Let us know. We will look into anyone that you send us.
If nothing else, we just love finding new streams that are entertaining. So, streamer spotlighted or not, we will appreciate the introduction to them. So this week we're going to take a look at something that found its way into the Tempo Storm metagame analysis that they're putting out every week now. Something I hadn't really seen before, though me and John have both played similar strategies.
Yeah.
Not this list. I haven't, a lot of these cards didn't exist when I played the deck I'm referring to.
True.
So,
you played like the backstab version, right?
Yeah, I played...
not backstab, backspace.
Backspace Rogue. It was the original Cancer deck that people... that people actually named Cancer instead of just calling it a Cancer. Cancer Rogue. It was a lot of fun. I was like 70+% over like 250 games. And it played Mukla. So, instant win. Can't lose. It was a great, super fun deck to play. And I've tried multiple times to resurrect it because it has Mukla in it, and that means it needs to be played. But I haven't been able to make it work, so I'm excited to try this, and I will definitely be trying this out on ladder since I'm going on vacation next week. So excited! Can't wait. It's a staycation too. Where am I going to be? Nowhere. I'm going to be here streaming for you people and sleeping until 4 in the afternoon if I want to.
That sounds awful, but also great.
No, it's going to be the greatest week ever. I'm super pumped for it. So, we'll take a look at this deck. The first thing that jumps out at you is, there's a Wolf Rider in here. It's that kind of deck.
It's a Wolf Rider, but not an Arcane Golem, which I feel is interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, I read the description of this deck, and it really kind of summed up what I thought the strategy was here. Like, you're just playing all these cards that cycle because a lot of your cards are free or super cheap, so, you're going to pick up a Backstab and be able to play it. Pick up a Deadly Poison, and now you're not going to lose your minion in a trade, you're just going to kill it with your weapon. And the way the description said is the goal of this deck is to make your opponent feel like they're a step behind you 100% of the time, and they can never catch up. And exactly what it looks like it wants to do. It's got elements of Face Hunter. It's got elements of like Face Warrior to it, obviously because you have weapons. And Perdition's Blade, John. When was the last time you saw Perdition's Blade in a serious deck?
When I was like 8-2 with my Rogue deck in Arena. I was pretty serious in that run.
That's fair, and it's very good in Arena, but it's usually not in Constructed. So why does it make
I've ever seen it in Constructed? Well, the whole deck is just about keeping and maintaining tempo, right? Like you said, Backstab, just a free... I mean, it's card disadvantage. Or no, I guess it's just, card parity, 1-for-1 a lot of the time. But all of your other cards are 0-for-1s, Everything that cantrips, a.k.a. draws a card, is just a free card in terms of card... I'm blanking right now. Card parity. So a card like Perdition's Blade is just inherently like a 2-for-1, or actually, well, it's a 2-for-1 basically the turn you play it, right? Like you play it, you shoot a guy, and then you kill a guy with the actual weapon charge. That's the sort of thing that keeps tempo in your pace. And just being able to every single turn be like +1 or +0.5, plus 0.5 cards, while also putting on pressure, while also, dealing with the threats. It's just a solid strategy from a generic card game that's like this game. I just completely lost my style. Like in Magic, this sort of deck would be good in like a draft strategy. A bunch of cards that just give you tempo, and you play a bunch of guys. It's relatively quick. You have the speed to abuse the tempo that you get from your spells like Sap and Backstab and Perdition's Blade and all that stuff. And you've also got, you've got some staying power with the Van Cleef, and the Azure Drakes give you some bonus damage. But other than that, it's just boom, 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 bounce a guy, deal with a guy here, deal with a guy here. No. Yeah, just a basic tempo, fast deck. Not really too much else to say about it.
This is probably one of the most tempo decks I've ever seen in my time of Hearthstone, including the other iterations of Tempo Rogue that I've seen. It sneaks way more of that magical draw a card word in here than you're used to seeing.
Right.
In the description, it said it's playing Shiv in lieu of Loot Hoarders. Now, my understanding is that when you say in lieu of, it means because I don't have. Right? So it's
not necessarily.
No, so maybe like at the time he got the list,
he has Loot Hoarders. Like, why wouldn't he have Loot Hoarder?
That's what I'm saying. It didn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just maybe the list that he got had Loot Hoarders in it, and in lieu of playing those, I'm going to play these instead.
Gotcha.
So like, it's a possibility that you could play Loot Hoarders instead of a Shiv. It's not necessarily he doesn't own the card. It's just that he's not playing the card and he's playing this one instead of.
Right. So, yeah, when I looked at it, I basically saw 2 Novice Engineers and 1 Shiv and 0 Loot Hoarders. And I don't think that's the correct distribution of those 3 particular cards. Though I do understand that it's probably very important to keep the same number of iterations of draw a card in your deck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess it kind of depends on what the meta will look like. But... oh, actually, this doesn't even run... I thought this would run Cold Blood. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, the fact that you're mostly just going to go face with your minions, I guess you just want the card up front, right? Because I guess it also helps combo a little bit better, so you can, like, on turn 5 play the Novice Engineer, draw into your SI agent or something. I don't know. I think I tend to agree with you that I kind of want a Loot Hoarder somewhere, probably over a Novice Engineer, but maybe not.
Yeah, I would have to play it to know. And I don't think I want 0 Novice Engineers because everything you said about it is right. Like, drawing that card right away can mean peeling the Backstab, peeling the Deadly Poison we talked about earlier, to just push yourself into that, that last bit of value that you need to clear the board, keep the pressure up, do everything you need to do. It can be hugely important to draw first.
Right.
But yeah, I just think... I personally want to take the Shiv and make it a Loot Hoarder because I don't see Shiv as very valuable.
Yeah, well, here's what I think is bad about the Loot Hoarder, because I've played decks like this, and if you get the like sort of distribution of your deck where you don't have the card draw, you just lose. Like, that's not even remotely close. That if you get the like quarter of your deck where there's nothing that draws you a card, you can't get to the first. Basically, start the chain of draw a card an extra card every turn. Like, you're going to lose the game because your cards are all bad, so you need more of them. And if you don't get to that, like, you need the first one to start the engine of like, okay, draw a card. Okay, I drew a card. Then my card for the turn is another card that draws a card. So then it just starts the chain. Right. If you don't get that, like if you just have like a bunch of Defias Ringleaders and Eviscerates and Blade Flurries, like, you're going to lose the game. And it will create the awkward situation with Loot Hoarder where, like, you want to go face, because I don't think you very often want to trade your minions in this deck. I think you want to use the Backstabs, the Saps, your weapon to clear the minions out, and then attack them and let them trade. And it will create the situation where you have to decide whether you want the 2 damage or you want to draw the card. And I think a lot of times you want to just draw the card, even if it's a bad trade or a suboptimal trade. Because, like, if you draw a Loot Hoarder and you've got no other cards in your hand, your opponent just ignores the Loot Hoarder and they take the 2 damage, okay? So, like, the 1 extra damage that the Loot Hoarder deals is not going to end up being better than drawing the card right away with Novice Engineer. Yeah. I think that's the long-winded way of explaining why it's not as good as Novice.
Well, even just potentially, and it's going to have to... Yeah. Take testing, and the architect of this deck, I believe his name is Ting Tong. So I sure, obviously, he's played this deck more than me because I've played it not at all, and I'm just going off my instinct. So definitely, and as I'm going to start it with his exact list. There's no reason to change a card. And from there, if you think, if you're ending the game and you're winning more often than you're losing, and you have all these cycle cards left in your hand at the end, that's when maybe it is time to make a switch for a Loot Hoarder. Or if Shiv just seems bad to you, Loot Hoarder is going to be a solid replacement for it.
Right.
It all depends on what you're playing against.
If I had to guess, a lot of these games are won by thin margins.
Yeah, they usually.
And I think this is the type of deck where you want every single card or half card that you can get, and you're going to need every single one of them. So, I think this deck is definitely interesting. It's definitely something spicy, something new, and I'm definitely going to build it, and I'm going to get some Golden Senjin Shield Master.
Yeah, it'll be a quick level for you, like if you're trying to level up Rogue. And maybe we'll even, after we do the Brawl, maybe me and John will jump into a couple games on ladder with it and give it a try. Sounds like fun to me, because it's probably what I was going to do when I shut the stream off altogether after the after show. Anyways, also get a souvlaki, so deal with that, John.
Scum! Yep. Well, I'm off tomorrow, so I could, in fact, just go and get the souvlaki as well.
It's true, you totally could. I'll be raiding, but you can still stop over here and eat it and hang out.
Scum.
Yeah, so I'm going to get a souvlaki and you can't stop me. Anyways.
Well, I could just go get shawarma from Falafel Bar, because there's Poker League at Falafel Bar tonight, so I might do that.
It doesn't sound appealing to me, but I've never had shawarma to know for sure that I wouldn't like it.
Shawarma's the nut.
It seems doubtful to me. I'm not an adventurous eater.
It's not adventurous at all. It's literally just souvlaki, but spiced differently.
It sounds like it's not as good as souvlaki.
It's better.
All right, so anyways, if you guys do have any questions for us, it might be about the difference between souvlaki and shawarma. You can ask us questions about that. Now is, in fact, the perfect time to do so.
Yes, so shawarma boys. Hashtag shawarma boys.
I think we can safely assume, though, by Peach's comment right there, he's definitely in the souvlaki argument.
How about if I get a retweet from Robert Downey Jr. about souvlaki or shawarma boys?
I don't give even 2 cares, as I avoid the swear jar for the second time in the episode. I don't give 2 cares about what Robert Downey Jr. thinks, because I don't even know that I could pick him out of a police lineup.
You don't know who Iron Man?
Now I could pick him out of a police lineup, but I still don't care.
Okay.
I just don't like superheroes. It drives people nuts. I don't mind that other people do. It's just not for me.
I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of complaining about comic book superheroes for this episode. Maybe we'll do it next episode.
Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe I'll fight with John about how I don't think Back to the Future was a very good movie.
I feel like we're starting to agree on a lot of things, and it's not as fun if we agree.
Stop it right now. It's time for
I'll fight for Back to the Future, though, because I like that movie for nostalgia's sake. I'm interested to hear what your anti Marty McFly is. I really want to know.
The whole argument is that I can't stay awake when I watch it. That's crazy loud, by the way, the shuffling.
Is it?
Yeah, super loud. Please stop.
What is it? What's loud?
Your shuffling. It was actually less loud when you put it up to the pop filter. I'm not even going to
Really? Yeah, that's weird.
Anyways, though, your first card. So if you don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, I give John 2 cards every week, and he has to accurately impersonate them. We'll give you a quick example. John, Sludge Belcher.
The tubs feel funny.
So clearly he's not a human being sometimes in the way he can just imitate voices and mimic them right away. And I've got him working on more important things like Game of Thrones impersonations and things like that, because I'm going to take his act on the road, and we're gonna turn him into something, and somehow I'm going to benefit from it.
Yes.
I haven't figured it out, but we'll find a way. So this week, John, I'm going to give you 2 rare cards. One of them you hate.
2 what cards?
Rare.
Oh, I thought. Rare. Okay, I couldn't. Okay.
Blue gem in them. One of them, your only hope of knowing it is that you play a lot of Arena, because it's not a very good card, but it's a card I've picked in Arena a few times because it was a bad pick. But nonetheless, it exists. And the other one, yeah, you just hate it, and it's a constructed playable card, so you might get that one. I don't know that you're going to get this one. We'll start with the difficult one, Ancient Mage.
Oh, man, I can't. Ancient Mage, that's a 2/5?
Yep.
Oh my god, I feel like I know it, but
sometimes I forget things.
Sometimes I forget things.
I was like, it's going to be so epic if he doesn't know what it is, because I picked it solely for the fact that playing it would be like rubbing it in his face. So I picked it for the rub-ins, and I didn't get there. So good job on that one. What's the attack sound, do you know?
I don't know if an ancient mage has ever attacked in the history of
Where am I?
No idea.
Where am I?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, good job, man. I did not necessarily think you were going to get that one. I knew you had a chance. I don't like to pick ones where I just don't think you have any chance.
Like Ruben just completely ranched me. Like,
he wrecked you. It was brutal. And you should feel bad, because you should know Bolvar. I'm sorry. You should know Bolvar.
I still don't know what Bolvar is.
It's a legend. I don't either, but I don't make a claim to. You have to know all the legends. You have to know all the legends.
Legend.
You face the mighty Millhouse Manastorm.
Right, like Bolvar's better than that guy, so you should know Bolvar.
I opened a Millhouse the other day. I was so excited. I wish it was old enough.
Card number 2, John. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Shield Maiden.
It's just... Do I hate... Oh, Shield Maiden, not... This is the 6 mana 5/5 card that I despise, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know I can't get through this voice. Like, it's the like gnomish woman voice.
I'll take the hit.
I can take the hit.
I can take the hit.
No! All right, I'll give it to you.
I was going to say, I don't know how that qualifies, and we should...
I'll give you the point.
Let's go to the judges. Let's go to the judges. TwitchCat, make your case. We'll talk about it in the after show. And also YouTube. We're not going to announce anything until next week, obviously, about this very important point that I can't wait to get to the bottom of. He's ready to concede it, but I don't want it to be that way. I want everybody to agree with it, not just John give me pity. To try to extend the segment, since it's clearly a lot of fun, even though I'm typically pretty bad at it.
Ooh, Peach rules in favor of the Blevins.
Yeah, he's wrong about stuff. What does Shield Maiden say when it attacks?
No idea.
Brace for impact.
Brace for impact. You're gonna have to start. You're gonna have to start learning those.
Brace for impact.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're gonna have to extend it. Like you're gonna have to get so good
at
these that I can
tiebreaker is that.
Oh, that's a really good idea. The tiebreaker is any other sound. So even if they have like a special trigger or something like that, that would be good. Who was the one I was gonna do? I'm curious if it would have been God. Oh, I don't remember it. It was a legendary. I feel like I should know what it is. Anyways. It doesn't matter. We will figure it out. Probably talk about it more in the after show. So please, if you're with us in Twitch, stick around. We'll be back shortly. If you're not with us in Twitch,
Brawl!
Yes, we're going to Tavern Brawl. If you guys are not in Twitch right now, feel free. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we do the recording. We upload it on Wednesday, and we always do at least a half an hour to an hour in the after show, just me and John swearing without having to pay for it, and playing goofy formats against each other. We did that before the Brawl came out, and we're just going to keep rolling.
We started Tavern
No
Brawl.
big deal. It was kind of our idea.
Ain't no bang.
And we didn't steal it from Crip either. I know a lot of people
Definitely
are talking about how we stole a lot of our ideas for that from Crip, and all right, you nailed us. You got us. It's fine.
You got it.
He's pretty creative, so.
I'll fold.
All right, guys. More poker puns, I'm sure. We'll find
Brawlroom Blitz. It's a Brawlroom Blitz. Brawlroom Blitz.
All right. On whatever awkward thing John decides to end the show on every week, we're going to keep that going and just let his mediocre singing carry us out of here.
Mediocre. I'm so happy that I even got that.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Yes. Everyone, get in here! Pile on!